Dave the Pickup Artist.
Good evening, VC. I've got some more psychedelic albums to show you. About 3 hours ago, I got a new arrived on my doorstep, and I actually listened to it twice. It was so good. First album I got is another Texas psych band. I've showed Texas psych bands my last 4 videos, I think. Actually, this is half of the band is from Texas. So, yeah, we got Dragonfly. This is a very cool cover. Fortunately, the cover would be their own doing because they didn't have the title of the band on there. So that was one of the reasons the band kind of flamed out. Nobody knew who they were. Cool inner artwork. Yeah, this is great hard rock psych. And I tell you, there's not a bad track on it. I've listened to it twice since I've got it. Actually, I listened to it on Spotify before I bought it, but it sounds great on vinyl on the stereo. And it came with a booklet. And we've got some photos of the band. They were initially known as The Legend. There's The Legend's first album. I've read about half of this booklet. More photos and tickets, information. Just a very cool album. I had to listen to it twice because after I listened to it the first time, I looked at the track listing and it had Hoochie Coochie or Hoochie Coochie Man on it. I said, well, I don't remember hearing Hoochie Coochie Man. But what happened was that their version was so weird and psychedelic that I didn't even notice it being Hoochie Coochie Man. They do a good job of recreating the Megaphone label. And I don't think the Megaphone label was very kind to the band, according to what I read. But yeah, if you want to pick up some great hard rock psych, Dragonfly, crazy. Speaking of hard rock, I've got Lee Stevens, Red Weather. Lee Stevens took off from, was a member of Blue Cheer for 2 albums, the first 2 albums, and he basically, Blue Cheer was so loud that he had hearing problems, so he got out of the band, and he just basically put together this outfit.
Come on,
great. On this, Lee turns down the volume, but turns up the psych. Phillips album, just like Blue Cheer, same album. I don't think there was any animosity when he left, but it would have been nice to see him hang out for one more album, but this is very cool. It's kind of almost prog psych. We got a lot of piano on it.
Hey, what happened?
Nicky Hopkins turns up, as he does on every album. Nicky Hopkins is on every album ever made. But yeah, it's a great album. We've got a hype sticker alert.
Dip, dip, potato chip. Dip, dip, potato chip. Dip, dip, potato chip. Dip, dip, potato chip. Dip,
Yeah,
dip,
it's a
potato
great
chip.
album.
Dip, dip, potato
A
chip.
lot of first tracks are instrumental, but there's also some vocals on it. But yeah, I like this. I like to pick up all the Blue Cheer offshoot acts. We're listening to David Bowie, Love You Till Tuesday. This is 1967 or 68. There was a documentary, this is actually a soundtrack to a documentary about Bowie that was done by a British company. And it's got embryonic version of Space Oddity. It's also got the Laughing Gnome. This is Whimsical Psych from David. He started out as kind of a, well, he started out as a mime. You could see him right there as in his mime mode. But yeah, this is a pretty good album. It's not for everybody. You gotta like Whimsical Psych. This is probably what Vinyl Richie would call wanker music. But I like it. It's on the original Durham label. It's okay. Next one I got is the Youngbloods Get Together. This is actually their first album, and it's confusing. Oh, upside down. It's confusing. This is a good grief. I had it right the first time. Yeah, this is their first album, the Youngbloods. It's confusing because this is there's two different covers. One has a photo of the band, and this one we have the artwork. I kind of like the other cover better, but that being said, this is a great album. It's kind of bass-ackwards though. We turn it over and we've got the back cover. Pretty cool. These guys were known as a kind of a folk psych act, and of course this album had the great hippie anthem and hit for the band, Get Together, the title track. And yeah, it's just a great album, great folk psych. They were a lot like the Byrds. These guys actually got thrown off the Johnny Carson show because Johnny Carson said they were too demanding and they were prima donna-ish, but according to the band, they said that the Tonight Show people wanted them to do their hit, Get Together. This was after this album came out, and they were promoting a new album. They wanted to do their new material, but Carson's people, they wanted the hit, so they got booted. But yeah, it's a great album. And they did other great albums too. A few more great albums. Last but not least, I got Maggot Brain. Finally got this. I was trying to get an OG copy, but it's too hard to find them, so I settled for a... Now, this is on the Four Men with Beards label, and I've heard nothing but bad things about that label, but I gotta tell you, I got their Funkadelic second album, Free Your Mind, and it sounded great to me. So I got this, and this one sounds great too. I don't know what all the funk is about the album, but it's yeah, it's got. I'm not really crazy about that label, but yeah, it's very cool.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
This, of course, has the
and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Title song. Now, one thing I would have done different if I was George Clinton, I would have put the title song, the Maggot Brain, I would have made that the last song, and I would have made the last song, which is another good song, Wars of Armageddon, I would have made that the opening track and close with, but that's just me. But yeah, you got to have this in your collection. I still don't have the first album. I think I'm gonna try to go for a OG of the first album, but I don't think it's gonna happen. A quick Funkadelic story. About 25 years ago, I was working as a maintenance man at the Hilton in Jacksonville, and then George Clinton had the band, the P-Funk All-Stars, and apparently they did a show at the Florida Theater, and they stayed at the Hilton. They had the top floor, half of the top floor, and I'd never heard of him back. Well, I'd heard of George Clinton, of course, but I wasn't really into him or anything like that. But yeah, after the show, or the day after the show, I went into work, and the guy I relieved, the other maintenance man there, he said that the cops came because the music was too loud. So the cops come up to the rooms that the P-Funk All-Stars were at, and you know, they tell them to, you know, turn it down, blah blah blah. So they did it, and the cops left, and all was well. But then they had a pipe break on the first floor. Water started coming down. What happened was the members of the band, when the cops came, they threw their stash down the toilet. And the guy, I relieved, said that he went up there. Whenever you get a leak on the first floor of a hotel, you go up to the top of the the top floors, you know, work your way down to find the leak. And these guys, guy I relieved, the other maintenance man, ran a toilet auger down the toilet, and he pulled out bags of weed and coke. So what happened was the P-Funk All-Stars, they threw their stash down the toilet, backed up, the toilet backed up and went down every room, every floor on that particular room number. So yeah, that was the first crazy story I heard about the P-Funk All-Stars and George Clinton. But yeah, that was always funny. I had a lot of that happen. But yeah, kind of cool.
Hey, what happened?
New Year's. Hope everybody has a great week.
You're
Take
trying
care.
to say that I took the donation.